Very good.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Cannon, and as the Education Associate for IAUG Headquarters, I would like to welcome you to today's webcast, Voice Analytics 101. Our speaker today is Stephen Gray, Vice President of Task Technology. IAUG is pleased to add this informative and educational webcast to our 2016 program. Before we begin, I would like to share a few tips on using the GoToWebinar during today's presentation. First, you can minimize your navigation bar by clicking the top arrow button. I encourage you to submit questions throughout the event via the question and answer box located on your webinar toolbar. Stephen will be monitoring a few questions for Q&A throughout the presentation. And lastly, a recording of this presentation will be made available for download on the IAUG website by the end of the day. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Stephen.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I'm Steve Gray with Task Technologies. I'd like to thank everyone for attending the Voice Analytics 101 webinar this morning. It's pretty much along the same line of what I presented at the Avaya Users Group in Orlando this year, and I got pretty good feedback from everybody. As a company, just briefly, our headquarters is based in Ottawa, Canada, and we have sales managers across the U.S. We've been in business 25 years, and we focus on mission-critical contact center real-time reporting. That's pretty much what we focus on. In the Avaya market, we have over 1,000 communication manager installations in the United States. We've been, working with Avaya and these customers for 10 years now. Most of what we do is driven by customer requests looking for, features and functionality to be incorporated into our software. And something that has come up quite often is it's basically analytics that I'm going to cover today that is software we created to meet customer requests. So basically, what we're doing is we're merging the cradle-to-grave analytics with the actual call recording into one application. And a lot of our users are finding it very valuable. The ones that we've already installed. So basically, the objective today is to go through three pieces. The first is compound call searching techniques. So basically, how do you find a call or a group of calls when you're literally going through a database of thousands or millions of calls? So that's the first step. And secondly, once you do locate certain calls, how can you review what occurred on that call, from a cradle-to-grave standpoint with the events? And then finally, how do we tie in the multiple recording segments that could occur onto a call directly into the cradle-to-grave? So it really gives call center supervisors or even those people responsible just for managing extensions within the company to locate calls and pretty much look at all the information that's available from the telephone system, in one contiguous application. So when we, look at why our customers are looking for calls to analyze, in the call center, it's, a customer complaint, or maybe there are service level issues with a specific group of or agents. So that's where looking at the specific detail of the call will help isolate issues. And then for general extensions, if we're looking for excessive call patterns, maybe calls to certain 800 numbers, abusive calls coming in, or even for services billing purposes. So that's why customers are looking for calls. And it is a challenge when you look at just looking at one of our databases, say a site that has 300 concurrent agents in a call center and then 1,000 general extensions. We're seeing like 85,000 calls a day, on average over 1.2 million call events. So the individual call events that are tied in with the calls, and then about 170,000 in recording minutes. So it really gets dramatic when you look at it on an annual basis. And again, that's where the focus is for the compound call search. There's quite a bit of information available with a call that's stored that can be used to search. Obviously, date and time, the length of the call, whether it was inbound into the call center or just regular extension in outbound or internal. What happened to the call, what attributes like holds, transfers, caller ID of who called, the number that they called, and obviously resource participation, like you want to search a call for a specific agent or extension or even queue or trunk. And where the trick really is tying several of these searches together to quickly get to a call or group of calls. So as far as our call events are concerned and how Task processes them, is we actually receive them in real time as the events occur through AES. So for example, if there's a call answered, we get that event in less than a second, and then we use it to build call records on the fly. All the indexing is through universal call ID that's assigned by Avaya, and then finally, some calls can actually contain hundreds of events, especially some of the more complex calls in the call center. So let me flip over to just giving you a quick look at what this would look like, in our application. So I actually have the Task product up on the screen here, and I'm going to go into the visualizer component, and this is the piece that lets us enter multiple options in for a call search. So in this case, I looked at the last month, so I went into dates of calls and just selected last month. And then I wanted to look at any calls that were on hold greater than 2 times, so I can see the attributes. I've got that set up. So at this point, I can do a search on these 2 criteria. Now, it's not a huge database. It's just for our support center in Ottawa, but there should be some calls in there. And there we go. It said it's found 9 calls in the last month that were on hold greater than or equal to 2 times. So I'm going to look down through the list here and see the 4th one down here. This is an actual live link directly into the call details. So I'll click that. And what we see on the screen here now is the details for that call we selected. So we can see, that the general information at the top, start and end time, time to answer, talk time, those type of things. Then we have some summary buttons here, transfers, hold information, and then this graphic is the actual call event list. So we can see the green ones here are actually the connected, or when a conversation was actually occurring. This was a hold, a transfer, and a ring. So in this call, we can see there was 3 times that there was a voice conversation of some sort, and we can even see the detail on, who was involved in that call, the trunk, those type of things. At the bottom here, we actually have a detailed list of all the events on the call right through to the disconnect, which was by, the voicemail system. But we can see where the call came in, support VDN, ringing, answered, so the entire list is there. So this is, what our customers have been using, for the most part, to do their cradle-to-grave searches and look at the detail on the call. And what's really come out of that over the years is they'd say, wouldn't it be great if you could just record the calls and then it would be integrated right into the cradle-to-grave. And that's what we've done. I'm just going to go back to the PowerPoint here, and let's start up here. Okay, there we go. So in general, each call can contain several conversations or segments. Each call can involve several extensions or agents as well, and calls can transfer in and out of the contact center. So the way we set it up is it's kind of an all or nothing approach. So you can select to record all inbound ACD calls only, or you can add outbound from extensions and inbound to extensions, or any combination of the three. So most of our customers just turn all three on. Storage is a lot less expensive than it was years ago, and that way they're just capturing everything. So the way it actually works behind the scenes is we use application enablement services off the communication manager, and as calls are occurring, we receive real-time audio streaming of those calls, and then we store those as we collect them into WAV files. And then they're indexed, to tie back in with the call records through the Avaya call ID. The way we store these is up to the customer. We don't store them on the task application server. Usually our customers set up a folder somewhere in their IT department, probably virtual, and it's fairly locked down because it is actual call recordings. So normally the only way they can be accessed is through the task application. So for example, if a supervisor has access to a certain group of calls, then they're entitled to see or play the recordings, but nobody else would be. So it's pretty simple architecture. So I'm going to flip back to the application here and show you the actual recording capability. So as I mentioned, there was a couple call segments here. In this case, Joseph Pepin was connected to the caller, and then Liz later on was connected to the caller, and she's at a different extension. So at the bottom here, it's listing the call recordings for each of the extensions involved, and in some cases there could be multiple segments even with one extension, but in this case I've got extension 6050 and it's segment 1. Now to play this, it's pretty simple. I'll just hit the play button, and in this case I'm using Google Chrome, so the Chrome audio player will pop up and play the call. So just bear with me, I'll press this here. There's the audio player.
Thank you for calling Task Technology. Liz speaking. Hi Liz, it's Joan Cleary, and I'm calling from Algonquin College Corporate Training. How are you today? Oh, how are you doing? Good. Have you...
So hopefully everybody was able to hear that. I just played it on my PC here. But other features that we're adding is the capability, if there's multiple segments, to just play them all together. And also if a task supervisor is, for example, reviewing a recording, and they want to send that to somebody else in the company, they'll be able to send a link to it from the screen to whoever to. Now the person that receives the link in their email will be able to play it if they're an authorized task user, and all they need to do is click the link. It'll bring them to the screen and they can play the recording. So it's pretty straightforward, but this is, truly the integration of call events and recordings all within one interface. So that's basically what we've introduced in the last 6 months, and we've installed it, successfully in several of our customers. So I know it's somewhat brief. I don't know if everybody enjoys lengthy webinars, but that's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. I really wanted to see if there was, any questions or anything anybody wants to discuss further at this point. We can possibly open the webinar up to live questions, or if you want to just drop a question into the window here, that would be great. But that was, pretty much what I wanted to cover today. So.
Steve, right now it doesn't seem we have any questions coming in. Oh, right as I spoke, one just came in from Miranda.
Okay. Oh, is this just an update or a separate program? basically what the recording capability is for task users is they basically just run an upgrade of the software and the capabilities will be implemented. Now the recording is an additional license charge. You know, we think it's pretty reasonable, but it's basically an update to task contact that customers would run, basically run an exe file. It would update all the software, and then you just load the new license key to, you know, start the recording, and obviously be some training from customer support as well. So hopefully that answers that. I'll make my window bigger here. Oh yes, I do have a question if it's just audio, and yes it is. The overall approach here was to keep the recording application simple, you know, and inexpensive, and to provide, you know, pretty much just what I showed everybody on the screen. So let's see if there's any others here. Okay, I had a question about what are the AES licensing requirements. Basically, there's 2 licenses you need to have this capability. The first is a basic TSAPI license to monitor the device to get the events, and then a DMCC license which would monitor that station as well. And then you'd need 1 CM license to actually run the call recording, which is basically a supervisor monitor. So we need, yeah, TSAPI, DMCC, and 1 CM license. Pricing-wise, it's 50% of the price of the task contact application. So adding agents or adding recording is half the price of what it would cost to add agents or you know, supervisors to the core task application. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else here. Okay, this question, will this record every call? Yes, it will. All calls for every monitored station. As far as, you know, a mechanism to upload call recordings for voice analytics, we do have, you know, all the recordings in one folder where there's a subfolder for each day, and then, you know, a full index available for them. So, you know, I think that folder itself, along with our data index, is what you'd want to load if you wanted to, you know, put it into SQL or some other analytic tool. Okay. I think okay, there's a question here, can you email copies of calls to non-task users? You cannot directly from the task application. We just set that up for, you know, basic security. However, the actual WAV file is pretty easy to find in the folder. You just need to, you know, have the UCID, which, you know, comes up on the screen here, and do a search and attach that file to the email. But that is more within the customer control and, you know, policies on security and that, but it can certainly be done. Now, if calls are transferred outside of the contact center, then as all stations involved outside of the contact center, as long as we're monitoring them, we can record those segments as well. I think that's pretty much everything that's come in. Obviously, if you have more interest, the best thing to do is just go to the task website. And there's a request for follow-up if you know, one of our regional managers can get involved and provide you more detail, more demos, those type of things. So that would be the best way to follow up, just at task.com. If you'd like to, discuss implementing as well.
Great, Stephen. We do have a few final questions coming in, but would you like to share your final thoughts with us?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, I think this really, there's a lot of terminology in the industry, speech analytics, voice analytics, but we're pretty much putting this tool under the category of voice analytics, or analyzing all of the call events and all the audio, together in one application. There is a capability for us as well through a desktop product we have to collect information from agents or agent extension users when they're actually on a call. So if they want to add more information, such as, why they're calling, or some kind of categorization, that can be stored with the call as well to really, enhance further analytics. But at this point, the objective here was to introduce a product to our customers and Avaya customers that was easy to use and, pulled everything together. The recording piece is not meant to compete, with some of the higher end, more expensive recording products that have a wide range of capabilities. It's more meant to be, a cost-effective recording capability directly integrated with our cradle-to-grave, and that's where we're going to keep it focused. But in any event, I'd certainly like to thank everyone for attending today. I think we've had great attendance. Looking at the numbers here, and I hope we get a chance at TASK to work with you sometime in the near future. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephen. I would like to thank you for taking the time to speak with us today, and for everyone else for attending today's event. As a reminder, a copy of today's presentation will be available for download on the IAUG website by the end of the day. As you exit the webcast, please complete the evaluation for today's event. Your feedback and input are important and appreciated as we further develop the webcast program. As Stephen mentioned, if you would like to receive more information about TASK, please head to their website at task.com. And thank you again for attending, and enjoy the rest of your day.